when they laughed. Instead, try to be a good ambassador of sorts and do something fun. Leave them laughing. Maybe then the next traveler that follows behind me will have a little bit better reception, you know. If you do something good to them, then they'll treat somebody else that's good. I might have been the first white man they'd ever seen, so you can imagine their surprise. Now here's the Great Wall of China, made around 2,000 years ago. It was made to keep out the foreigners, because the foreigners kept invading China, especially the Mongolians. But today, it attracts foreigners by the millions, as this is the greatest tourist attraction in all of China. So that plan kind of backfired on the Chinese. Now the Chinese people do worship. I always thought that communist countries couldn't worship God, but the Chinese have Taoism and Confucianism and Buddhism, and here they're burning fake money in this urn in hopes that more real money will come back from the gods in heaven. That's not so different than what some people do on Sunday morning. Chinese people think that dog meat is rather delicious, and this is a dog meat factory. I found myself chewing on this rubbery piece of meat, and I asked the Chinese cook, I said, "Zhe shi ma?" And he said, "Zhe shi ma" means, "What is this?" And the Chinese cook said to me, "Bai Rao." A lot of lonely miles passed beneath my wheels as I headed across Inner Mongolia, through Hohat and up into the plains where the horsemen live. For the most part, the Chinese were kind of quiet people. They invited me in a few times, and they'd always close up the curtains and we'd speak kind of silently, like somebody else might be listening that shouldn't be listening. But I enjoyed the hospitality, eating some Chinese food with chopsticks and meeting wonderful people. The Chinese called me Marco Polo II, as I was on Chinese radio and Chinese TV and posed in front of Tiananmen Square in Beijing. Now in the island country of Taiwan, called Free Taiwan or Free China, this country has a democracy. And what a difference from the communist China. Now, this democratic China, people are a lot more open. They talk about their government and let me stay in their homes and freely speak. They also have a strange custom of drinking snake blood. They think that snake blood is good for your health. Anybody like to try some snake blood? And look at this. I was overwhelmed by a terrorist water buffalo. This mad creature tried to take away my bicycle and charged me, and then he was going to demand a ransom before he'd give my bicycle back. So how do you deal with these terrorists out in the world? My theory is, make friends with them. With my newfound friend, the water buffalo, I was very happily riding off into the sunset. But I kind of missed my old bicycle, and I also missed meeting the wonderful Taiwanese Chinese people. They were very cheerful and a lot of fun to meet, and I really made a lot of wonderful friends there. Now in Korea, one of the strange customs is they have playground sets out on all the streets. And this is so children can be playing together. The Koreans think that if children play together when they're little, then they get along better when they're older. That's part of Confucianism. Confucianism revolves around the family unit, and especially togetherness with the family. And I found Korean families to be very close. Maybe it's not that much different than in America, but there is a bondage there that seems to hold the families very close, and they were also very cordial to me. I'd be invited in to eat some kimchi and have some noodles and rice and sleep on a futon on the floor and try to speak a little bit of Korean. Now in Japan, one of the more wonderful experiences was being able to sleep anywhere. In Japan, private property isn't such a big deal, and you can put your tent up any place you want. Somebody's yard or right. We slept underneath the eaves of this temple other two travelers and myself. I met an American and a Japanese, and we all slept together underneath that temple. I slept on many a park bench, and this particular park bench is in Hiroshima, where the atom bomb exploded 40 years before, killing 80,000 people. As I ran out of money, I'd pull out my guitar in front of the Tokyo Stock Exchange and sing a few songs. And the yens came in. Made enough money so that I could keep traveling, as Japan's an expensive country to travel around, and met some wonderful Japanese people. Now here's a man named Kazuyuki Hiyamoto, and I called him Papa-san. Papa-san was a good fella. I met him when I was out singing songs, and he invited me to come and stay in his little itty-bitty apartment. He was a dentist, and I had a bad toothache, and he took me down to his dental clinic and fixed me up free of charge. And that was really kind of him. They enjoyed having Americans stay with them. We got to talk a lot, hold the kids in my lap, and share some of our stories. This little gal's name was Sachiko, and Sachiko could read English. And she was only 5 years old, so she pulled out her English book, and she'd say, "This is a helicopter!" So she was wonderful and delightful. The Japanese were so courteous and kind, and so polite and considerate. I came away from Japan with a completely different image of what the Japanese people are all about. Now, on the islands of Hawaii, I was really delighted to be back in USA territory. And they have these ancient temples made that one can visit, and the old Hawaiian prophecy tells about Lano, and Lano is a god that left Hawaii but said that he'd someday come back to save the people. So in the year 1781, the great Hawaiian chief saw what he thought was Lano coming back to save the people. And the Hawaiian chief said, "Here comes Lano on a floating island," just like the prophecy said. And off of the floating island came some little insects with their arms out, swimming across the water. And out of the insects came Lano, dressed in red, just like the prophecy said. So the Hawaiians bowed to Lano and gave Lano everything. And then they thought Lano was staying too long, like 2 weeks. And so the Hawaiian chief began to wonder if this was really Lano. One day they saw a cut on Lano's finger, and they said, "This is not a god, Lano. This is a man." So they killed Captain James Cook because they thought he was a god, and it was a mistaken identity. So it's important that people have a good understanding about what is their God, so they don't misinterpret and have religious wars. And Hawaii's story is one of the examples of how misunderstandings in religion can lead to conflict. Well, I was really delighted to be back in my good old America, and especially to see the beautiful roads that we have, nice, clean, and straight roads. I visited the supermarkets, and I enjoyed seeing all the beautiful products that I hadn't seen for so long. And I thought back on this last leg of my journey about all the people I'd gotten a chance to meet. The different races of peoples, different cultures and customs and religions. Just to stand beside them and reach out and meet them firsthand to get this experience of touching the world and discovering many of our great similarities that we have all around the planet. It was a wonderful experience for me to stay with them and find out something about their customs, and just to learn, reach out, and to see that we have so many wonderful similarities. We can share this earth and discover so much towards the world. I found that even though I had times of problems, but I could meet peoples, and here I am with a German and a Japanese. To think that 40 years before our countries were at war. Here I am with a dark-skinned Aboriginal man who was wonderful and very kind-hearted. To see the many different customs of the world, the different styles of dress that women wear, like the women of Japan dressed in their kimonos, and the women of India dressed in saris, beautiful long gowns. Just different facades, different things on the outside, but in the inside is still, the heart is still much the same. These women in Southeast Asia have to carry rocks